guys, Dr. Kristie Ennis. If you are watching this video, you are probably either sick, like me, or recently sick, and you might be worried about losing your fitness gains that you've made, or the opposite end, and working too hard and making yourself feel worse. Blech. So I'm gonna make sure we cover all of those things today, as well as a nice exercise progression that you can do, even if you're not feeling up to your best. All right, starting with the don'ts, not to be a Debbie Downer or negative Nancy, which makes me sound old, but I like to end with the positive and be a positive Polly, which also sounds funny. That's okay. All right, so first don't. If you have symptoms below the neck, so a bad cough, a bad sore throat, vomiting, diarrhea, bad nausea, body aches, shortness of breath, those are don't go there for exercise, okay? Number 2, if you have a fever, that's a no-go. Number 3, if your resting heart rate is higher than normal, you don't want to exercise then either. So your heart's going to be working much, much harder than it really should. Right? Number 4, if you have a serious illness, even if you don't have these symptoms below the neck, I know that might sound obvious, but sometimes we just forget about those things, right? Pneumonia, meningitis, there's a whole huge list. Always check with your doctor first if you're not sure. And then number 5, you need to make sure if you cannot do your activities of daily living, you are not ready to exercise, right? So if you get out of bed, you go downstairs, maybe do the dishes, and you're like, "Poof, that is it for the day," then you need to be not exercising, young lady. And yes, I say it like a mom because sadly my mom has had to say that to me several times as well. But do not despair. Even if you can't exercise right now, you are still okay, right? You're not necessarily going to lose those fitness gains. So there's been studies done that even after 3 weeks of no strength training, everybody, young, old, in between, still keeps those strength gains that they had made. Yay, that's a fair amount of time. Now, as the time period goes on, the older you are, you tend to decrease a little bit more, but you still even keep gains even after 31 days. Pretty good. And cardiovascular-wise, we're still pretty decent till about 12 weeks. So you've got plenty of time to recover. Always err on the side of caution. All right, now on to the yays, the do's. If you are nice and hydrated, right, you're good to go. And I know that sounds funny, especially if you don't have a fever, but if you're breathing through your mouth, right, if you're really stuffy and congested, you can sometimes get a little dehydrated even just from that, right? So you want to make sure of that. Number 2, and this is kind of the opposite of what we said there in the beginning, but if you have symptoms above the neck, usually, and again, these are not absolutes, right? You always want to think about your own body and talking to your doctor first if you're questioning anything. But so if you have a stuffy nose or a runny nose, or if you have, a little bit of a sore throat, maybe a headache, maybe a little earache, but again, use caution because even though those symptoms may seem like they're not so bad, they still can be part of a more serious illness, and you don't want to push it. Definitely not push it, right? All right, number 3, if you see, there we go. I still am sick, which is why we're doing this video. Number 3, if you are well rested. Again, that sounds like a duh, but the reason that is if you do not get enough sleep, which can happen if you're stuffy and congested and feeling, right? Your immune system actually drops down. So your immune system's already working hard to fight whatever nasty bug you've got going on. You add lack of sleep to it, and it's bleh, game over. I got a lot of blehs in there because it really is bleh, right? Now, if you meet all those criteria, just make sure that, I know sharing is caring, but not in the sense of germs, right? So if you are going to exercise, don't go to the gym, right? Either go outside, stay at home, be smart. I'm going to show you some exercises. Even if you can't exercise, I'm still going to show you some exercises, right, that are going to be safe to get you moving. We'll go through a progression. So stay home. And also, again, even if your symptoms are mild, start with just very nice, easy to moderate exercise. No high interval work here. And that varies person to person, right? But sometimes it's a few days, sometimes it's a week. And if you're really sick, like the don'ts there, sometimes that's 2 to 4 weeks or even longer, and you really want to be smart about that too. If you are feeling comfortable enough to lift some weights, Go about 50% of what you did though, right? You don't ever want to start where you were because your body is still working really hard. But I will tell you right now that even if you can only do a little bit, sometimes that just is super good for your brain, even if your body doesn't get that huge adrenaline rush. And that's that. So let's go over some exercise progressions that I actually am starting with myself after being sick to help keep your brain in a good state. All right, if you are like me and had mostly don'ts, which is kind of like mostly dead. What do you do if they're all dead? You go through their pockets and look for loose change. See if you can figure out what that's from. It's a classic. But okay, I digress again. If you are like me and maybe you are just getting around to being able to move a little bit, and like me too, I had some breathing or still do have some breathing issues. We're gonna start with just opening up the lungs, getting our body moving so that we're not so closed up and not so achy, right? So sitting up tall, if you can, either in your bed or in a chair, you're just gonna try to take a nice deep breath in, as deep as you can without coughing and without it hurting. As you breathe in, you wanna think about fill that belly up, and as you exhale, you're gonna let that belly go, right? So it's inhale, exhale. That's kind of the basis for all of these first exercises. So we're going to take a breath in as you turn those palms up, lift those shoulders, and then roll them back as you exhale, right? So inhale and exhale. You may only be able to start with 2 or 3 before you go, oof, that's enough. But if you can, work your way up to about 10. All right, so for this next one, you're gonna bring those arms out to the side. You can even arch through that spine just a little bit as you inhale, and then exhale, close and round. So we're just moving that air through those lungs, moving that spine a little bit, and getting those arms a little bit of work as well. All right, next one, arms are gonna go up just as comfortably as you can get them. And then gently squeeze into those shoulder blades as you bring those elbows down. So inhale as you come up, and exhale as you come down. Moving down to the lower body a little bit, we're gonna add just a little march. So bringing one knee up and then the other, getting the front of those legs to get a little bit of motion is lotion going in through there. All right, last one, you're gonna kick straight out or as straight as you can comfortably. And all of these exercises actually will help get you ready to do some standing things as well. Once you're feeling comfortable about moving around, you can do your activities throughout the day. You can add a few more things in if they feel okay. So you can get to the counter or something sturdy. I'm gonna hang on just for balance help. You're just gonna sit your bunsies back, right? So you go down as far as you comfortably can. Remember, if your legs haven't been being used much, you're not gonna wanna go down a whole heck of a lot because they're gonna feel shaky and tired like mine are already starting to. I just started these today. So again, start for just a few and try to build up to 10. Next one, some hip swings. Just getting that mobility back into that hip a little bit. So you're really just letting gravity, or momentum really, do the work here. Just let it swing back and forth as much as feels comfortable for you. All right, next one are some heel raises. So you're coming right up on those toes and then back down. Nice and controlled in both directions. Obviously still holding on if you need it. I know I still feel a little bit weak, so it helps me to have a little bit of balance here. Last one is a wall push-up. So working on those arms a little bit. Hands about chest width apart, or excuse me, shoulder to chest width and about chest height. I'm gonna come in, those elbows bend back. Again, if you're just starting out here, you may not be able to get all the way in towards the wall. That's okay, your arms, right, like mine, might be just a touch shaky. So even if you just get a little bit of that motion, that's good.